This person says, CJ, dying to hear your take on AI 2027, which is this singularitarianism argument. The idea that, like, oh, it's then, right? It was this year, and before that it was the year before, and before that it was 2022, and it's always just the next couple of years, right? And depending on who you ask and what they're trying to sell and whether they're trying to get you to buy their stock or be a bag holder for the inflated valuation that they've created for some startup that doesn't make any money, like OpenAI, which lost $6 billion last year, they always have something to say about it's a few months away, it's maybe next year. Let's look at the actual data. Here's a really good example. This is one of the new benchmarks that's come out recently for what they want to try to quantify as some kind of measurable definition of AGI, right? So this is called Humanities Last Exam, HLE. It's a benchmark that they can test models on to see how good they are at solving certain kinds of problems. And this curve that's been very creatively drawn here, which leaves out like basically all the examples, seems to show that there is some exponential growth suddenly happening. When in reality, if you look here, this is like 25% score, right? So like, that's not very good. Other people included more examples where you can see very clearly, like there is a linear range here. This is not like, yes, it's an outlier, but it's not evidence that there's some exponential growth happening. Other people have tried to do forecasts with this obvious outlier, as though this is the center of mass and not, you know, like the trend is this way. It's not this way. So here's one that I made, which puts all of these data points on a chart. And you can see very clearly when you have more data points. And then I also included the other big benchmark that people are talking about now, which is ArcAGI 2, because ArcAGI 1 wasn't good enough. We need a new one, right? As though these definitions were some kind of real thing that had a real meaning, right? These are just tests that people are making to try to prove a point, and it's almost always a marketing claim, right? Be suspicious. Think critically. So if we take both of these benchmarks, HLE and ArcAGI 2, and we draw regressions along them, what you can see is that like we're nowhere remotely near them reaching 100%. These are both intended as tests of AGI, as some version of that concept, and neither of them is forecast at this current pace to happen anytime remotely near today, or 2027 for that matter. The HLE score goes to 2029, right, 100%, and the ArcAGI 2 score is not until 2039 that it reaches 100%, even with the outlier of this new deep research thing. These conspiracy theories that emerge every few weeks about how there's some miraculous thing about to happen where everything will be fundamentally different for some unexplained reason are always nonsense. Singularitarianism is always nonsense.